All right, I think we're live now. So let's just give some few seconds so that people can get here. I see 17 people waiting. Hi everyone, happy Sunday. I hope you all are doing great, and we apologize for being 3 minutes late. Thank you for joining. As you join, please go ahead and share. Today is going to be awesome, so that you don't harvest this knowledge all to yourself. Kindly share, like is very important, so that we can reach as many people as possible. As you can see here, I'm here with a very beautiful and smart lady, Cynthia, and I'm very excited. So so Cynthia is going to be my co-host for today. Let's just give you more seconds. Once we get to 30, we will get started. Thank you all for joining. If you all can hear me, please just signal. Signal. Hi, Emeka. Hi, cherished Olivia TV. Hi, hi, hi. Just type you can hear me. If my sound is clear enough, please let me know. Oh, great. Thank you very much. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm just gonna go straight to the point. I'm so excited. For those who may not know, my name is Karen Fomafong, and I am your Agile evangelist. So, what we do here on this platform, we are really big with, bringing our only two contribution through this platform so that we can continuously enhance the agile space, bring in more people that are looking to get in but not sure on how to get in, just contribute to the community so that together we can create impact, especially around the agile space. So that's what we do here. So we started a series that was 3 weeks ago, which is called Safe Scrum, that is Skilled Agile Framework series. And the reason why we started this, or the purpose for this, is because lately we've been getting a lot of questions, around safe, people not really sure on some certain things. And especially in the internal Being Agile community of practice, we've had a lot of open questions. Practitioners, they've been asking so many different kind of questions around Skilled Agile Framework. So that is why we decided to start this, so that we can bring this to you together. We have conversations, just share ideas so that we enhance our understanding and deliver better value to our organization. So today we are in the third episode of the Safe Scrum, and I am excited to introduce to you my co-host, who happens to be one of my previous mentees. I'm so proud of her on how far she has grown. And today she has really come to also contribute to this community by giving back, just sharing her knowledge, her own understanding, again, for the same reason, so that we all can continuously learn and grow. So I'm just going to pass the ball to Cynthia, so Cynthia can properly introduce herself, and we go from there. Over to you, Cynthia.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Like I told you earlier, I do not take it lightly, really. I'm so happy to be able to contribute my little quota, to the agile space. I'm so proud. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Cynthia Egwago, and I am a senior Scrum Master. And I have been under the tutelage of Karen of all this while. And I'm so happy to bring myself here with the little knowledge that I have. And one thing I know in the agile space is that there's always growth for more and more learning. You can never stop learning. So thank you so much for coming, joining us, and I appreciate your questions and feedback on whatever we have later. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that brief introduction.
You're welcome.
So, for those who may not be familiar with my style, I like it very conversational and very relaxed, because that's how I am at my best. So, This is not gonna us setting something on stone, Cynthia and I. We just really want to leave it open. So please leverage the comment section as we move on with this conversation. Would appreciate if you can chip in your ideas so that we just have a conversation. And if you have questions, again, the comment section is for that. Drop your questions. Once we are done with the theme for today, we will address questions, prioritizing the questions that are related to the theme of today. So, our theme of today is PI planning. And Cynthia is here today to share her understanding on her practical experience on PI planning and some of the things that she's been doing around this event. So before we get into that, I would just like to hear from Cynthia. If you would please share with the our viewers on how you got yourself into this whole agile space. I'm just curious. People have different stories. I've heard so many different stories and they are always very interesting. So whenever I meet someone, even though I think I already know your story briefly, but I'm very sure that our audience are curious to know how you got into this piece. So please share with us.
Thank you very much. Um, Anyone that knows me knows I am a financial person, so I started my career in the financial space, in the banking industry, years ago. And as time went on, I moved into another bank that actually, you know, that was, as at that time, migrating into the agile space. Then it was strange to me. I really didn't understand what it was. So, but as usual in such environment, there's usually trainings conducted and all that. So I went through all the trainings, mechanically, as expected by the organization. And then my role was agile project manager and scrum master. But even at that, it was so skeletal to me. I really didn't have a lot of understanding, right? And it was kind of, okay, let's just do it like they say we should do it, that kind of thing. So, but as time went on, it was actually a friend of mine in Canada that told me. I was actually talking to him because I realized he was also in the agile space. So I said, how I don't understand this thing very well, but I understanding it might seem easier, but adopting it was quite,
Applying it, yeah,
yes,
implementing
applying it.
it is
So he said
really
something to me. He said,
different.
Scrum is easy to understand but difficult to apply. But there's someone I will tell you to go to. She will be able to explain to you and to me, very well. So, and he mentioned your name, and I asked him, "Do you know her?" He said, "Yes, that." So I contacted you, and that was when. So I always tell anybody that one thing about coach is that whatever I am today, to a whole large extent, was because I was under your tutelage and your mentorship.
Oh,
So I when I contacted you and had you mentor me, it was like a whole change of personality. That I mean, looking back to me then and me now, it is a whole change of personality. And everyone that knows me in the Being Agile family knows that. So me coming into this space and knowing what coming into this space introductively might not be your doing, but knowing what I know today, the confidence that I have today to handle the teams that I've been able to handle over the years was because of the mentorship, the confidence that you instilled in me. That was what brought me here. And I don't state it lightly. That is how I became the matured. No, I'm not so matured. Don't get me wrong. But the
you
person.
are though, you are, but I like the humility.
So that's how I became Cynthia, the senior scrum master today.
Awesome, awesome. And I have no doubt, I'm extremely confident that you're going places. You'll be astonishing because
Thank you, coach.
you are you're just a true leader.
Thank you.
I usually tell people that nobody is born a follower, really. Nobody. But now what sets you apart is your ability to develop your leadership skills you've been born with. Everybody's born a leader,
Yes, you're
you
right.
see. So investing in yourself, I see it as a gift. I hope people will be able to see that too. Self investment is a gift. So please, nobody should take that lightly. That's the only way you can truly explore your full potential you were born with. rather than thinking you should just be a spectator or just following people around. You are a leader. Just develop your leadership skills.
True.
All right, thank you very much. So I see more people joining. As you join, please go ahead and share. Hi, Diane. Hi, Dougie. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Please, it's important that when you join, you go ahead and share and like. Liking doesn't cost you anything either. It's free. So don't be greedy with your like. Just press that like button. It means a lot to us. All right. Now I'm also just curious to know, since our theme for today, again, for those who just connected, what we are focused on today is PI planning. We actually started a conversation last week. So today we are continuing with it and we are going in depth. So, but first, I would like to know, Cynthia, as a Scrum Master, what role do you play during a PI planning?
Okay. Thank you
Because
very
the reason I'm asking this question is because I've heard so many different things. I've heard about an RTE, and then sometimes I even get confused. Okay, so what does a Scrum Master do in this space? How does it have anything to do with an RTE? And what if an RTE is not around? What if an RTE is around? So I just want to get clarity on, from your own experience, how it
much.
works.
Thank you very much, Coach. Well, before I go into state the exact role of a Scrum Master in a PI, a program increments planning, I want to first of all give a little bit of insight of what it is about, what PI planning is even about. For me, I see PI planning as, the purpose of PI planning is to gain like an alignment between product, technology, delivery, leadership, management, and the team, to come to a common set of goals and features. Because it's all about planning and collective transparency, the way I see it, right? It's all about being grounded in clear set of goals, clear timelines, and having some fun in the process. Trust me, because what is, agile without a little bit of fun? That's what the event itself is all about. Setting clear goals, clear timelines. A lot of it might feel really awkward at first, but embrace the discomfort, and don't lose sight of the planning purpose. Because agile comes with a lot of changes, and most of the time it's a bit uncomfortable. But we should be comfortable in our discomfort, and so that we don't lose sight of what we're doing. So, as a Scrum Master in a PI planning space, a lot of things is required of you, right? Granted, you're not the one doing the exact development work and all that, but the entire success of your team in the process mostly lies in how you handle things. First of all, the before the PI planning itself, there's a lot of preparation the Scrum Master has to do ahead of time. Before then, like making sure your product owner is setting out features, writing stories with good acceptance criteria, filling up the backlog for the next cadence, for the next quarter, because cadence normally is usually divided in quarters, right? So yeah, for the next quarter, making sure he's creating good quality acceptance criteria for those stories. So once you connect with him and say, let me see what you have, let's see what we have. And I've had experience of sometimes that product owner really is not really sure of how to create stories for this particular feature. We sit down together and create those stories, because at that planning, the bosses of the boss will be there. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to be like you don't know
You want
what
to be
you're
your
doing.
best, because at
Exactly.
that
You want to bring,
time
exactly. You
it's
want to
going
bring
to
your best
affect
foot
your
forward.
credibility.
Exactly. Because at the time, you want, after the PI planning, your name will be ringing in their minds. For
Exactly.
me, that's my goal. I want them to go and say, oh, when you mention, oh, Cynthia, they'll say, oh, that's Scrum Master. Oh, that kind of thing. You don't want to like, who's that Cynthia? You don't want that, you don't want that kind
Yeah,
of
I
that's
can
the
relate.
So you make sure that everything is set already. You make sure that everything. And another thing is also create. I don't. It depends on the tool you're using. I'm mostly used to using Jira. Also create all the sprints for the next. So in a quarter you have at least 6 sprints, right? So depending on if you are actually doing a 2 week sprint or a 3 week sprint. I don't know. Depend. I'm used to 2 week sprint. So
Okay.
this is my own experience now, right? So you can relate.
Right. That's why you're here to share
Exactly.
your own experience.
So I normally create like 6 sprints ahead, and we then come together as a team, refine them, refine them, make sure everything is okay. Because there's going to be a point in PI planning where we're going to read out all these things, read out what we're going to do. So you want to see that you actually did the work. You understand? And then there's another thing called program increment cleanup, PI cleanup. It means going like the current increment where you are. Okay, so let's say, for example, you're in the second quarter, you're trying to plan for the third quarter. You're towards the end of the second quarter, you're planning for the third quarter, that kind of thing. So for the last quarter, you make sure that all the features you guys created, all the stories you committed to, that they have been complete, all the items are complete. If they're not yet complete, the ones that need to be addressed, the ones that need to be closed and moved to the next feature, the ones that are no longer relevant, just clean up for your last cadence. So that's what is called PI planning cleanup. So after that, another thing you need to do is appoint someone, because there's doing the PI planning, there's going to be like a readout. Like I said, it doesn't have to be you. Most of the time is the product owner. So you guys to already appoint someone that would do the readouts. Let the person's voice be.
So sorry, what's readout? So is it just giving an overview of what you all are planning to work on, or what's that?
Okay, so readout is like giving an overview of the features, and also mentioning any key risk and key dependencies
Okay.
that while you guys were creating the story, you noticed, right?
Okay.
That's the readout. Then another
Okay.
very important thing is making sure you attend Scrum of Scrum, because that is where you have to, because by the time you guys are creating the stories, you identify those key dependencies and identify the teams your team is dependent on, right? So you come out to the Scrum of Scrum before the planning to mention it to those Scrum Masters of those teams. Let them know, and you also include it in their own planning. You understand? So that is the whole thinking. So everybody will synchronize their work.
Awesome.
So that
Beautiful.
mention it there and say, oh, we also have this dependency, and I think I'm dependent on team A or team B for this time, and this is when I will need it. So they
Okay.
will know when they will be able to finish it, so that you will get it when you need it. Your team will have it when they need it. Otherwise, it will then be a blocker and eventually a risk. You don't want
Awesome.
it. Yeah. So those are one of the
Amazing.
some of the roles of the Scrum Master. Some of the things I do before PI planning.
Okay, so everything you just explained, would it be fair if I summarize all of that as pre-sprint planning activities?
Pre-PI planning
I mean,
activities.
sorry, yeah,
Yes.
pre-PI planning activities,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
Amazing. So yeah, I always like to emphasize on the importance of proactiveness. So you all can relate, like everything Cynthia just explained. It takes a person or a scrum master that is proactive to be able to achieve this. You see, so where most scrum masters miss it is when they would just sit and wait until 2 days, 3 days to PI planning, and then they want to put everything together. You're already setting yourself up for failure, you see. So in my own experience, I always suggest to the scrum masters that, okay, to make sure that your team is set and ready and not feel rushed, no pressure, make sure that you start, walking through your PI planning activities at least 2 weeks in advance, you see. So that way, by the time you get to the actual event, everything is settled, no pressure. You're just taking your time and you're rolling smoothly, you see, and it will definitely reflect on the outcome of the actual PI planning. Great, thank you so much, Cynthia. So now let's assume that you've done all these things during the PI planning, all these activities. Um, Now on the actual day of the PI planning, what exactly do you do?
Okay. As a Scrum Master, if I get your question, you're saying what exactly I do as a Scrum Master?
Yes, as a scrum master, on the
Okay.
actual day of the PI planning event, what
Okay.
exactly do you do?
Okay. One thing I normally do as a Scrum. Okay. First off, make sure okay, that there's something we call breakout session during the PI planning.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
in my experience, I've realized that if you do not prepare your team for that breakout session, create a meeting invite for that breakout session, or that day you'll be confused. All of you will be running helter skelter. So what I do is I create a meeting invite for my team for the whole day and say, okay, this is our breakout session link. When they announce and say, okay, it's time for every team to go to their breakout session, we use this link and
Mm-hmm.
join the breakout session. So mainly on that day, when it's time, all of us are in the PI planning. The facilitator is facilitating, and we are listening to all the talks from all the bosses, all the managers, the roadmaps, the vision. They're reading out everything. We're waiting. When it's time for breakout session, my team joins the breakout session, and
Mm-hmm.
I join the breakout session to be able to facilitate what goes on in the breakout session.
Mm-hmm.
And what goes on in the breakout session is similar to what we have done pre the PI day.
Mm-hmm.
So what we now do at that point in time, what I do is I facilitate them, populating the sprint, all those sprints were created at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, we are preparing for the readout time, the time for the readout. So
Mm-hmm.
we make sure our program board is populated. Okay, let me take that back. Program board is usually identified for people who are used to using Jira Align, which we don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go in. But normally Jira Align is like a bigger picture for Jira. It's like the
Yeah.
grandfather of Jira.
Mm-hmm.
So it's best used for environments that are scaling agile. It
Mm-hmm.
makes things more transparent, right? So even though you're not using Jira Align, during the readout, you still come and read out everything that you guys have prepared during that time. So my role then is I'll juggle between. We also have Scrum of Scrum during that time, because while you're in the breakout session, they'll call you out for Scrum of Scrum at the top of every hour. Sometimes the breakout session lasts for 4 hours, 3 hours, depending on. In my experience, I have teams from India. So what we
Mm-hmm.
do is we make sure we finish before their time. They are late into the midnight. So
Yeah. Yeah.
want them to leave early. Yeah. So we have to finish early so that they'll be able to leave early. So, but then I don't present. Normally the way you present, share your screen during your normal
Mm-hmm.
sprint planning. No, I don't do that time, because of the fact that I'm going to be juggling between the room and our Scrum of Scrum. So I let the PO share his screen and let's work with his screen. So that's what we do. So what I do is every issue that the team raises, I go out of the breakout room to look for whoever will help us. You understand?
Okay.
Only because
Mm-hmm.
at that time, you're accessible to all the bosses. There's no
Mm-hmm.
certain meeting time to meet somebody. You can
And
just
that's the beauty of this PI to me.
yeah,
I have my own reservations about skilled agile, but to me, I think there are some important things that happens that I can take from this event, which what you just said is one of
exactly.
those.
You
Yeah.
go and you just call someone. This person, I need you to come to our room to address us about this. We have this issue, and you say, okay, I'll join your room right now. There is no Everybody is
Yeah.
available. Anybody
Yeah.
is available at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
The issues the team has always had during retrospective, the person you know that will address that issue, that's the time to bring the person into the room. So your role as the scrum master is to make sure these people come to your room and address
Mm-hmm.
the team and take down your issues, because there's going to be an executive meeting time, when they are
Mm-hmm.
problem solving time, when they
Mm-hmm.
all act on the problem they have noted from the teams during the
Mm-hmm.
PI. So you want your own issue to be one of the problems that they will solve now, right?
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
what makes you a good scrum master, because you want to put your team in the line so that, oh,
Yeah.
the team is having this issue. So
Mm-hmm.
some things like, oh, my team don't have dedicated developers, because all my developers may be that they're working on other projects,
So many
other
different
things.
things.
Yes. So, many things can be, as a scrum master, a lot of things can be the issue that you can't handle alone. So,
Mm-hmm.
at that point in time, you have the opportunity to go out and bring in those people to address them. Another thing is, if there is any risk dependencies, you go to the Scrum of Scrum and talk about it. And
Mm-hmm.
then they'll tell you, the facilitator of the whole PI itself will tell you, okay, this is who to sort out this risk for you. Talk to that person. So you talk to that person, the person will join you immediately in
Mm-hmm.
your room. So there's no book meeting and wait, and I'm not available for meeting. No, they will
Mm-hmm.
sort you out immediately. And that's the
Okay.
time they set out to solve those issues. So that's also one of the roles of a scrum master in doing the PI. And for me, I see it as a time when my team sees that, oh, this our scrum master is good. She's really there for us. She has our back.
Okay.
No,
You're
really.
making sure that your accolades is safe.
You understand that your seat
Yeah.
is secured in that team, because
Yeah.
that's when they will say, oh, after our team, after our last PI planning, I got Amazon gift card from one of my team members.
Oh, amazing.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
I got an
Amazing.
Amazon gift card. Little, but it meant a lot to me.
Yeah,
It
I
went a
know. I
long way to
know.
tell me that, oh, I really
Appreciation
have.
is always very important.
I
Now,
was.
let's backtrack a little bit. So you've explained some of the things that you do actually on the day
Yeah.
of the PI planning,
Mhm.
especially how you juggle between Scrum of Scrums and the breakout rooms, and making sure that stakeholders
Exactly.
that are able to influence whatever challenges your team is going through they are available so that all these things can be taken care of.
Yes.
Now, before we get into these breakout rooms that we're already talking about, and by the way, for those that are just connecting now, thank you all for joining. We appreciate you as you join. It's important that you share and click that like button is free. And I also want to state that next week, our host for next week is going to be focusing on breakout sessions. So today we're not gonna, focus on that a whole lot. Next week we're gonna deep dive on that. At the end of this session, I'm also gonna provide more insight on what our agenda or theme for next week will look like. But for now, so before, as a Scrum Master, you're juggling between these things that you just mentioned. What I'm curious about is before you get into these breakout rooms, what exactly happens in the main room? I know that there is supposed to be some readout.
Yeah.
Can you please just highlight some of the key factors or key components that makes up the readout agenda?
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, before the readouts, even before we go for our breakout sessions, there are sessions of like I said, talking about the objective of the PI planning, which the if you have an RTE, the RTE facilitates the PI planning itself. But sometimes, if the organization doesn't have a dedicated RTE, sometimes a senior scrum master or an agile coach facilitates. Not one person facilitates the PI planning, as I have experienced, because one person is facilitating it per se, and the other person is taking down action items,
Okay.
right? So they are working together, right? So you would have, in my experience, you would have actually everything has started before PI planning. Prepared the organization, the group, the art, the teams for the upcoming PI planning, reminding Scrum Masters, to ensure their POs does everything. Also remind, invite everyone to the PI who should be at the PI, right? So the facilitator will definitely invite everyone to the PI who should be at the PI, because it's crucial that they come. Make sure that they come. Sometimes
Yeah.
you might have visitors, right? Sometimes you might have people from other groups.
Business units. Yeah.
Yes, for other business units, because sometimes, depending on the size of the organization, the whole organization might not be in the PI plan. The PI planning might be for a particular business unit, and another business unit have their own PI planning at another time. So invite key people from different business units to be there, because issues might arise that they might take home to their own unit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So making sure that happens, and then for the day of the PI planning itself, thank after the whole welcome remarks, make sure that there's something called roll call, because
Yeah.
you know I didn't know that some people would be like, how people would tune out.
Yeah.
It's a whole day meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's something called roll call. If you're here, raise your hand up. If you're here, you present your team, raise your hand up. If that kind of thing. So thank
Just
everyone for
hold
their
on. Pause.
efforts.
Just pause now. So, what if someone you were expecting to be there during the roll call and you don't hear anything?
Oh, okay. Because life happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes something might come up and the person will not be there. Is there someone there to represent that person? So
Okay.
if okay, I'm in this team, my scrum master is not around. Oh, I'm the PO. Let me represent. You
Okay.
understand? Or my PO is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do this. I'm the scrum master. He's not here. Let me represent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for this team. So,
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
that also happens when there is cross functionality in the team.
Yeah, yeah, very
People
important.
work
I like
together.
that you're talking about cross functionality. So, just to add to your point, in my own experience, um, whenever we make sure that we already identify who will be doing what during this PI planning day, we also make sure that we identify backup people. You see, just in case anything happens, yes, there is a backup person for that, so that we don't get into any surprises on that day. Yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there. So move on. So yeah, so you were at the point of you do the roll call, and
Yes.
now after the roll call, what are the key um components of that agenda?
Okay. Another thing is after the roll call, there's something called review of our roadmap, right?
Okay.
So, but you call the person, either a manager or a top stakeholder that would read, do all the review of the roadmap, um, vision, review of the vision. Those are different people. Review of the vision, review of the roadmap. Then technology team will come and talk about their own what they're doing. Architecture team, in a large scale program level architecture, maybe the head of architecture or something, architecture design will come and talk about what everybody is talking about what we are looking to achieve in this
Okay.
regard, this cadence,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
In technology, this is what we are looking to achieve, this
Okay.
cadence. In
Okay.
business, this is what we are looking to achieve. This so each head of unit or manager will come and give a talk. So as a facilitator, you time box it, make sure everyone is keeping to time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand? And make sure
So that
when it's
nobody hijacks the event and then you end up with just one person talking and the meeting is
exactly,
over.
we have a lot to accomplish for the day,
Yeah.
right? And we're working towards letting some people go towards them. Like the Indian people were always very particular about them because it's
Yeah.
late at night in their own
Yeah. Yeah. The time difference is really huge.
is a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So what I'm hearing is that you make sure that you're addressing your goals and your desired outcomes, right?
exactly, the desired
Okay.
outcome, expectation at the end of the event. You understand, and make sure also those calling out the names of people who will be able to take care of different kinds of risk. You understand, and also if you have technical issue, please contact this person. Just to make sure that everything is going on smoothly.
Yeah.
Because actually, the highlight of the planning is the breakout session. We want to do all this thing quickly. Why? The reason why we're actually reading out all this is so that all the team members, will know what is expected of us while we go into the breakout room, right? All the team members will know, okay, this is what we're working towards. This is what the unit is working towards while we go out into our breakout rooms,
Yeah.
So that's why everybody is paramount that everyone comes out to explain what the common
Yeah.
goal, set
Yeah.
a clear set of goals, right?
Yeah.
Yes, clear, and remove any kind of ambiguity.
Yeah, so that way when you get in your breakout rooms, you know what to focus on, right? You're
Exactly.
clear on what you should be focusing on.
Yes, because we are prioritizing the next sprint after the beginning of the cadence, what we need to first achieve. Then we need to
Yeah.
prioritize. So in order to prioritize, you need to understand what the goal is and how important which one is. Critical initiatives, we call it.
Yeah.
Critical initiatives. So you need to understand which ones are the critical initiatives and which ones are the unassigned ones. If we have
Yeah.
time bandwidth, we can pick it up.
Stretch
But
goals. I call those ones stretch goals. That's
exactly.
how I call them. Okay, awesome.
That's the thing.
That's really beautiful. So, out of everything you've said, what really stood out and I really like so much is how you're juggling between the breakout rooms and the scrum of scrums, and you really just making sure that these stakeholders, you're communicating the challenges that a team
Yeah,
is talking about, because you cannot have all these stakeholders in all of the rooms at the same time. So I see how it really makes sense that they have to be in a main room, and then
exactly.
different scrum masters are jumping in that room if they need them and talking about what's going on, aligning on what's going on, and if they need their help in any area, to just ask them to jump in this room and clarify on that thing, or give the direction that these people are looking for, and go back.
True.
So I think that's really, really valuable. And thank you so much for sharing. Now, um, I'm also curious about, because you've explained a lot of things, and based on what you've explained, I'm just assuming that there must be some challenges that you may be facing, during these events, because working in a team with so many people from different backgrounds working on different things is not easy. So some challenges may happen. So what are some of the challenges that, if you can just highlight one or two challenge that you have encountered during you playing your role during this event?
Okay, thank you very much. So, one thing I always say is, the importance of pre PI planning can never be overemphasized. I know that some organizations, by experience, do not really do the whole
Yeah, I
pre
agree.
PI planning.
100%. I
So,
agree.
so because it reduces challenges on that day. Because everybody knows what is expected of them. Everybody has connect and try to make sure your system is working. You hear the facilitator explaining, sending emails, please connect, please make sure you check this out. So all that pre-PI planning reduces the amount of challenges. However, on that day, in my own experience, what challenge I noticed is that, these stakeholders, everyone wants them in the room at the same.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
I imagined that. I imagined that, and then I just imagine the chaos that may happen. And
exactly,
then I can just imagine see some scrum masters waiting in queue for this person to
exactly.
be
So
done from the other room and join them.
yes, I've had in my experience. I Something happened. So we were waiting when I during the scrum, I explained it, and the stakeholder was like, okay, I'll join your room. I'll be there in a bit. But we waited for almost an hour, and he hadn't come. And time was going, and
Yeah.
we needed him to be able to move forward. And although we're talking around other things, so, but as I time I connected with him again, I had to chat him on Skype to say, "Oh, we're still waiting." And he was like, okay, I'm in another room. I'm sorry, I'll be with you guys. And so that waiting time and having to juggle. So what we now proactively did was get another a stakeholder that has to handle another issue for us while we're waiting for this other one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's move forward because time is going. Time waits for no
Yeah.
one. That's
Yeah.
that's one of the challenges that I really really encountered. And another thing is, to your point, if you don't have a backup person, like for example, during the one I had last, we all agreed that the PO was going to do the readout, but on that day, guess what? He lost his voice totally. Trust,
Okay. I
trust
hope
me,
his village people were not behind him.
he lost his voice. So I think he had a flu or something. So he really,
Yeah.
so
Where
and
we come from, we will say that it's our village people behind
so
us.
yes, exactly. So if we hadn't said, okay, you know what, let's do it together, so that if one person doesn't read out, the other person will.
Yeah.
So I was able to stand in. If there were mostly product owners that were reading out, but some scrum masters read out too. If your PO is not available. So after that, they'll ask you questions. So you will be very prepared. The bosses will ask you questions about your goals, your
Yeah.
futures, and what you're doing. So you have to be grounded, prepared
Yeah.
with what you set out to do. This is not it's not a skeletal work, it's deep dive you're gonna do. So after asking the questions and I answered, and one of the bosses were like, okay. I think he because after reading out, they're gonna ask the bosses to if they agree with your goal, if you
Yeah.
should go
Yeah.
ahead and work on it. So some will give thumbs up, some will give two thumbs up. So that boss brought up a unicorn and said, "This is a unicorn." So yeah, so this is a unicorn. So you did very well in.
Amazing. Amazing. I can imagine
And
the
everybody
feeling.
clapped, and I was like, yeah. So it was fun. You have fun too.
Cynthia was killing it in this space.
So well, that's it.
That's good. That's good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Cynthia. Yeah, so those challenges are real. These challenges are real. And I can only imagine how the things that we can put in place, especially to address the challenge around stakeholders having to clone themselves so that they are available on all these rooms at the same time to save time. Now, so can you just highlight? I'm very sure that there should be something you are very proud of as a senior scrum master helping out your teams during the PI planning. So can you highlight like one key accomplishment
Okay.
around PI planning?
Okay, thank you very much. For me personally, as a person, the key accomplishment for me is, joining a team as a Scrum Master. You might not really understand their products very well, you know. So, but you strive to understand the products, and as long as you understand the process of being agile and all, you move on to still be a good Scrum Master to your team. But this PI planning and PI planning, the whole thing, one of the benefits to me as a person first is making me understand our goal, what we are working towards. So I
Yeah,
understand it as much as every team member
that's
in the
critical.
team. It's very important. It has made me become even, it has given me a better sense of belonging in the team, right? Another thing, the team thinks I did very well, and I got an Amazon gift card. So I'm happy. I'm proud to be.
I
I'm
hope you're not
confident.
so focused on your own accolades and forgetting about
No,
your
no,
team's
no.
accolades.
So what I'm trying to say is everybody in the team now understands what we are working towards, right?
Yeah.
I'm including myself because before I may not have been carried along so well, but
Yeah,
now I
yeah,
do. So I am able to support the team better because I understand better their challenges.
yeah.
Even during this period, they were able to voice out their challenges, and I even understood it better. A lot of things that were going on that I do understand, okay, this is the reason why they were going on. And another thing is those stakeholders coming into the breakout sessions to explain things to us also gave me a broader insight about what's
Awesome.
going on in
Awesome.
the
Yes.
organization. You
Yeah.
understand?
Very
So
important.
yeah, it also made my team to be, oh, we are, like, so we are part of it.
Yeah, they
We're part of
felt
what's
like they
going on. Yes,
belong. Yeah.
like they
Awesome.
belong.
So I
Exactly.
usually like to tell people that or help people understand that if you really want the best from people, make sure that they understand what you want them to do and why you want them to do what they're doing. So I think that really, what I just said really summarizes everything you're
Exactly.
saying,
Exactly.
because that's how they're able to connect, just having an understanding on the value of these things they're doing. It helps them to put in their all to ensure that
Exactly.
they're succeeding, as a team. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mm.
Now, I'm just curious. So yeah, I'm watchful of time here. We have to reserve some few minutes for questions. So I just want to know your honest opinion about a PI planning as an agile practitioner. What's your honest opinion? I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard about it being useless, the meeting being useless. I've heard about the meeting being valuable. I've heard so many different things. So what's your own honest opinion about this event?
Okay. Thank you very much. From what I can see, like what's just said the last time, making people who are working understand the value of what they're working towards. So it gives room for us to understand uh, the what and the why,
Yeah.
what we are working on and why we're working on it, right? That's one.
Yeah.
Secondly, our dependencies, it helps us truly. Before now, okay, if there's no peer planning, you meet a dependency, and then that is when you will then go to the team to say,
Yeah.
oh, we have this dependency, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, we're gonna get to it at this time, we're gonna finish it at this time. What does that do? It delays you. Right? So, but
Yeah.
because of this PI planning, they know ahead of time. They already synced it in their work. So, as you get to that junction, you already pick it up. They already dropped it, pick it up and move on. So that eliminates PI planning, eliminates that wait time, right? And
Yeah.
also further helps you to achieve your goals faster and better, right? Then another thing it does is giving that room, that communication and collaboration time for stakeholders and the team and everyone to collaborate and talk about. Is like father and mother and children coming together to discuss how we are going to spend our the father's salary. That kind of
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
So the children being feeling that, oh, they're part of
Yeah.
the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes everyone come together as one family to talk about how we're going to move forward. So we're like, oh, we're working together. We're together. So
I mean, I would have
that's
enjoyed being part of the children coming to discuss how to spend that is
no,
money.
no, that's true. So you say, hey, daddy, I need sneakers. Daddy will say, okay, you need two sneakers. Let's give you one sneaker. You understand? So you
Yeah.
know that, okay, this quarter, I'm going to get this. This is the support I'm getting from the stakeholder to be able to achieve this.
Your
That's what I mean.
goal.
That's
Awesome.
so that
Awesome.
planning helps that to happen. That's
Okay.
what I
So
feel.
you really see value in it.
I see
Correct.
value in it. Even though the downside is there's a lot of meetings going on. For my experience, then there's a lot of trainings. Okay, we have this tool, we want to use this tool. There's a lot of trainings,
Yeah.
taking out time from the actual work that we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. It's time well
Yeah.
spent.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, Cynthia, to be honest with you, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud
Thank,
of you because
thank you
I
so
don't
much.
think we've ever really touched base on, since you've been doing your thing, we are only talking on high level, discussing challenges in the platform, but
Yes,
on a personal level, I don't think we've ever. So really hearing you sharing all this insight, I feel nothing but joy, sincere
thank you.
happiness for your growth. And
Thank you so
I'm
much.
just so happy. Thank you so much. Yeah, so now another thing that I would like you to do is just share with our audience. I see right now we have 108 people. What advice do you have for our audience? Those that are looking to get into the field, those that are currently practicing, those that are just seeking knowledge, just to know. So, what advice would you have for them?
Okay, thank you very much. As I'm advising you all, I'm also advising myself, right? So one thing I always tell people and people who have come to me to give them some kind of guidance is one thing: have a growth mindset,
Yeah.
have an open mindset. One, when if you have that growth mindset, you never stop learning. You never say, "Oh, I'm done. I've arrived." No, you don't arrive. You keep learning. You keep being better. You keep, trying to know more. One. Secondly, patience. You see, in this our agile world, patience is the key. You will meet different entities, different kind of characters. Patience is the key. Having an open mindset, having empathy. You see, they cannot be overemphasized. This is what you started telling us from the beginning, and I thought it was just, oh, you were just, but
Yeah.
and I've seen that truly that's what it is. It has made me a more patient person. Trust me, anybody that knows me knows that I didn't need to be patient too. Oh,
I
I
know
was
you're.
doing crap
I
of
mean,
it.
how I knew that you were not like very patient is how you attacked your goals when you were in the mentoring program. Cynthia
Honestly,
wasn't coming in there to joke or to wait or to listen. I'm like, okay, Cynthia, I need to slow down. Cynthia's like, no, Karen, I've heard you, but I'm going. And that drive, the drive that Cynthia had, it got her to a destination way quicker than I could ever imagine. I think Cynthia was in the program for about 3 weeks
yeah,
and she finally achieved her goal. 3 weeks, and
on the
then
job.
she had to start helping other people that came behind her. Even before her program duration was over, Cynthia was already helping so many other people in the program. So
Thank
that's
you.
how ambitious Cynthia was. That's how I can relate with your lack of patience, but in a good way.
Yeah, but in this role, when you meet people, you have to calm down, take a step back, or try to understand, be empathetic, and it has given me more joy to be that person now. And another thing, another very important thing I want to say is pray. Pray.
Yes.
See, this journey is a journey of prayerfulness. Honestly, without prayer, I mean, personally, I don't know everybody's whatever, but that's me. That's the advice I will give anybody
Yeah.
I relate with. That's it. So that's the only advice I have.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That has been
So,
really, really insightful. Again, I just want to be mindful of time so that we can reserve time to take. I see great questions here to address all these questions, but that's been awesome. And in addition to what Cynthia have said, I would just like to add that um, if you want to, anybody can do this. Anybody, especially if you're still looking to get in, you can do it. But you have to be serious.
right.
Yesterday we happened to be we went for an agile cruise, community something, and I met one person there. The person wasn't an agile practitioner yet, but the person was just part of this whole thing. And the person asked me, so Karen, I've been watching your things, and I always hear you say that you have to be coachable, and what excites you is the continuous learning and continuous improvement. So are you trying to say that if I want to become a scrum master or an agile practitioner, I have to continue to learn even after the training? I still have to continue to learn. I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay. But I'm not that kind of person. I don't like reading. I don't like all of that. I'm like, sorry. If truly you think that you're not a learning person, then agile is not for you.
It's not for you.
I was very honest with that person.
It's not.
Like, Karen, are you serious? So I thought when you go online, you just say these things, but are you really serious that the learning never ends? I'm
True.
like,
It never
yes,
ends.
the learning never ends. Even my own sister. So I've been doing everything possible to bring her into this thing, because I just feel like if you're not agile, then I don't know what you're doing. You see, even if you don't want to be a practitioner in agile, you have to know agile so that you can better do what you're doing. I
Exactly.
told people, I still continue to tell people that in the next 3 to 4 years, if you're going for any job interview, regardless if it's an agile role,
Or not.
part of the interview, they'll have to be evaluating your agility mindset before they are taking you into
Because the
the
environment is
organization.
agile. The
Yes,
environment will be agile.
95% of organizations today are looking
Agile.
to transition into agile. So, and agile is a mindset, it's not a process, it's no nothing like that. And they want people that already have like the
The mindset.
foundation of that mindset before they are bringing you in. So, agile is
True.
not only for people that want to work as scrum master, so work as agile coach or work as a release train engineer. No, agile is for everybody. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with one of my mentees, Dogi. I don't know if I finally met Dogi yesterday, by the way.
Oh wow.
So I was having a conversation and I told her that, look, agile only helps us to really be human. That's really what agile
Exactly.
is all about. Agile only helps us to be human, the human that we are really supposed to be at
Yes.
work. You
True.
see, you don't only have to be human outside of work because workplaces have now become so robotic, everything has to be. No, agile is really there to just ensure that we are truly human. We are
Human to each other.
empathetic.
Yes.
Yeah, we are empathetic. We show kindness. Just treat each other the way you want to be treated. That's really what agile is all about
That's
in a
basically
nutshell.
what it is.
Putting people first. That's what agile is all about.
True.
So it just makes sense that all these organizations transitioning into agile these days, they want someone that have some mindset before they are bringing you in the organization. Whether you're coming there to work as a janitor, whether you're coming there to
Mm-hmm.
work as a doctor, whatever you're going to do, yeah, in the next 3 to 4 years, that's going to be part of a lot of interview process before they finally bring anyone in the organization. So again, if you're not thinking about this, please add it to your to-do list. It's really important that you get going with this. So Cynthia, thank you so much. And now we're gonna dive into Q&A.
Okay.
But I really appreciate everything you've shared. But before we go into questions and answers, Cynthia, I just want to know, so if people are interested in reaching you, so where can they find you? How can they reach you?
Okay. People can actually connect with me on LinkedIn. At my I don't know how to put my LinkedIn link here.
It's okay. Mhm. Just
Okay.
just say your name, your
Okay,
LinkedIn
my
name.
yeah, my full name is Cynthia Egwagu,
Mhm.
EGWUAGU.
I'm just
You
gonna type it there.
yes. So when you go there, you see my not so pretty picture is there.
Don't listen to her.
So just
Cynthia
connect
is
with
one
me
of
and
the
you can
most
just send me a
beautiful
message.
ladies I've ever seen in my entire life from
Oh, please, Karen.
Nigeria. Seriously.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, for real.
So you
Okay,
can
so
just
I've
send me
just
a
texted
message and
Cynthia's name there. So if you want to connect with Cynthia, please feel free to connect with her on LinkedIn. Yeah.
yes,
All right. So yeah, so we today have been very insightful and I've
thank
learned a lot from this session today. That's why we had to keep
you.
going and going. Usually when we are about 25 minutes after we connected, nope, we are going to questions and answers. But today it's been different because
Thank
you've been
you.
sharing a lot of great insight. And the
Thank
reason why I let us continue to have the conversation is because this particular topic today has been a big deal, especially in our community. So I really wanted us to go deeper so that it will help clarify a lot of things for so many people. And as you've heard all these things today, please, you can now take it, whatever Cynthia have said, Pick whatever you think is valuable. You don't have to take everything. Just go try it. Go try some of these things and see what comes out of it. You never know. You see. All right. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And
Yeah.
now let's take questions. Okay. So as you connect again, like I said, please make sure you're sharing and you're liking. And you can also support this channel, support the work that we do. We bring all these things here for free, So there are different ways to support. You can become a member to our channel. There is also a way that YouTube has made possible for people to support. There is a dollar sign right down after the chat box. You can click on it and support whatever way you can support. Everything is appreciated. Even clicking the like button also is another way to show your support, and it always means a lot to us. All right. Let's see this one. Evelyn Nadine says, interesting. Every day I get more interested in joining your team, Karen. I like the way you listened with emotions. All right. Thank you, Evelyn. All right. Let's look for real questions. Karen, greetings from Samuel. All right. So, Samuel, if you're looking to connect with us, it's pretty simple. If you check on this chat box, we always pin a message there. The very first message is pinned. So just click on that link. It should take you to our website. From there, it's the easiest way to get to us. From there, you can call the number you see there, send an email, and we'll definitely attend to you. Thank you. And then Emeka says, what is the purpose of innovation planning? And at what stage do we embark on innovation planning?
Okay. Innovation planning, you mean PI planning? Is it? I want to get.
Emeka, so if you would drop to clarify on your question. So Cynthia is asking if innovation means PI planning. So while you're trying to clarify on that question, would go to the
Yeah,
next
because
question.
many people call it different things. So I want to
Yeah,
understand
you're
what.
right. You're right. Yeah. So Emeka, if you add some context to your question, that'll be great. So Sylvie Teke is asking, when do we do system demo? Is it part of innovation and planning, or it's another event on its own?
Okay. Well, system demo, from what I understand, is a time when we come to demonstrate, what we have already accomplished, right?
Yeah.
And that it doesn't have to. No, it's not a part. I don't know innovation planning as it is, but if you mean PI planning, no, it's not a part of PI planning.
Okay.
It's not a part of PI planning
All
exactly.
right. So I'm just going to add some insight to that based on my own experience.
Yeah.
So for us, so we really don't do traditional PI planning like that in my experience, because I wouldn't do traditional planning based on the way I help my organizations to transition into this whole agile thing. I don't think it makes sense to do traditional PI planning because of their downsides that I see. But I try to pick out some of the good stuff during this event. And system demo is just one of the things we do during this event, you see. So what we do is, as part of the agenda, we're going to showcase what we've accomplished in the previous quarter.
Okay.
It's just part of the agenda. We'll do that. And then in addition to that, would also, so there's another thing that some people call system demo, but we don't call it system demo, which is what we call prototyping. So we're just going to do a walkthrough prototyping what we intend to accomplish in the upcoming, whatever we are planning at that time. So we're just going to give a rundown prototyping, just showing how the skeleton works, putting pieces together, really to create that visibility and transparency, to create that visual, just to ensure that whatever we have in our head as design makes sense when it comes together. So we call that prototyping. So yeah, so that's really what I have done and what I've seen based on my own
System demo
experience.
is not a part of PI planning. Then, if that's your explanation of it, it's really not a part of PI planning. So we don't come demonstrate what we have accomplished in the past cadence. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
push
So
to
we
plan.
actually do that as part of our agenda, because it's also a moment for teams to celebrate their wins, in front of these stakeholders. So in addition to the standard sprint review events that some of these stakeholders are hardly ever there, to be
Exactly.
honest. And during this meeting is that opportunity to pick on your key accomplishments, and
And
then you
demonstrate.
come show those people. Yeah.
That's
All
it.
right. Let's move on to the next question here. In Save, do you integrate all sprints increments per 2 weeks cadence? If yes, do Scrum teams have other meetings to do this? Is the increment integration? I'm not sure I get this. Okay, so let's leave the last part of the question. Let's focus on the first part. In Safe, do you integrate all sprints increments per 2 weeks cadence?
Okay, well, what we do in Save as regards to sprints is we create sprints ahead of time so that we populate those sprints prioritizingly with the features that we need to accomplish with the stories that we need to finish, according to priority, right? So we do integrate, we do how would I put it now? We do populate the sprint with, okay, because you have heard from the stakeholders what the return on investment is expected is, what is the expectation, and the expectation of each business unit as regards this PR plan. You already know what the priority is, right? So we populate those sprints with those features in order of priority.
Yeah.
That's what we
Okay.
do.
So if I understand this question correctly, I mean, I just have my own understanding based on what I've read. I think Abiola Simeon is trying to understand if the increments that you accomplish every 2 weeks, right? You integrate it at the end of every sprint. Let's say if you are, how many Scrum teams are in your PI?
Well,
And you are
it depends. It's not necessarily okay. Ours had 19, 19
19
teams.
teams. Okay. So I think what this person is asking is the products that these different teams work on under that program. Do you have to do integration of all the increments that you achieve every 2 weeks? Does integration happens every 2 weeks? I think that's what the person is
Okay,
asking.
well, we haven't gotten to that point, right? That is a higher level of safe, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a high level of safe because we are still like trying out and understanding safe better. So the post PI, this is post PI events, right? We haven't really set them out in my view.
Okay. So
So
in my own experience, in an environment where we practice CICD. So it is a continuous thing. Immediately they are done, and these things have been tested. Continuous integration happens because that is what we are practicing,
exactly.
as one of the best practice to continuously deliver faster to our customers. So we practice continuous integration and continuous delivery. Even if when we integrate continuously and we are not delivering continuously, it gets into what we call the dry room, or some environments that is kind of the environment is after UAT. After UAT has happened, it will stay there, but not going live to the actual environment. It just stays there. And whenever the business is ready to deploy these things, they just go
We'll
get it from
deploy to
there and
production.
deploy.
Okay.
Yes, but the integration happens continuously. It really doesn't even have to wait until the 2 weeks. Immediately team members are done with all of these things, the integration is continuous. All right. So, Abiola, I hope that answers your question. So, okay, love seeing women in tech. Thank you. We are very proud of that, and we hope that we can bring in more people. That's really why we come on here, to encourage everybody. You can do this, but you have to be serious. If you're not serious, don't bother. All right. Let's see what's the difference. Okay, let's see this question. So cherished Olivia TV is asking, what's the difference between the stakeholder and the product owner?
Oh, okay. Well, the product owner is first of all one of the roles in Scrum, right?
Yes.
The product owner is the person in the team that handles the product backlog. He owns the product backlog, right? He's the liaison between the business and the team. Is like the liaison person between the business and the team. He goes to the business, talks to them, gets what we need the team needs to work on, writes the stories in an ideal environment, right? Write stories and then come and talk to the team about what we are working on. Then explain to the team if they have questions. That's the product owner.
Yeah.
Then the stakeholders are the people who have stake in the product, and
Yeah.
it could be anyone. It could be the business part of the unit. It could be the customers, right? Yeah, it could be the managers as well. The managers are the stakeholders because they're eventually they are the ones who who own who are in charge of the return on investment, who
Yeah.
deliver, the return on investment. So those are the stakeholders, the
Okay.
people on the other side of the team.
All
So
right. Awesome. Thank you. So, Cherish, just to add to what Cynthia have said, everybody that have some interest on the work that is going on is a stakeholder. Cynthia is a stakeholder. If Cynthia is part of that work, the product owner himself or herself is a stakeholder. So anyone that have any interest on the work that is ongoing is a stakeholder. The customers are stakeholders. The business people are stakeholders. Managers are stakeholders. Team members are stakeholders. Even let's say that you're trying to bring water to a community, right? And let's say you have to go validate this thing with some mayor. Even the mayor is a stakeholder. You see, that's who a stakeholder is. So a product owner is just a part of stakeholders. It's just one person within the stakeholders. And like Cynthia have explained, the product owner is that person that represents the business and the customers. I hope that answers your question. So let's move on to the next question. Gaston is asking, what's the difference between PI planning and product backlog refinement?
oh, okay. PI planning, as the name implies, is a program increment planning. Now, program increment is a planning of the next cadence or the next quarter, depending on how the organization identifies it. But that's the ideal. Now, backlog refinement is an event in. I don't want is not it might not be like a in the Scrum guide, it might not be like an event right now, but that's one thing that the team does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually an event, but it's
Uh-huh.
not official.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's an unofficial event.
Unofficial event, yeah, that the team does to refine the backlog prior to the team sprint planning events, right?
Yeah.
Now, in that product backlog refinement, that's where the team members ask or dissect the user story, right? Ask all the questions to the PO, ask all the questions to whoever needs, whoever can answer, whoever has interest, that can answer those
Yeah.
questions to be able to understand better what is expected of them in that particular user story, as it were. But in PI planning, that and the product backlog refinement is only attended by the team members and the product owner and maybe the product manager, no, right? But the PI planning is attended by the whole
All the
either
stakeholders.
organization,
Yeah.
or the whole stakeholders in the business unit,
Yeah.
as the case may be. So that's
Yeah.
the difference, and it's
Awesome.
an event where the features are all the team works are synchronized to be
Yeah.
able to have a synchrony throughout the whole quarter. So that will
Awesome.
work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So to just simplify this, I usually like to tell people that CPI planning as sprint planning in the scaled level, at the big picture level. So that is when everyone under that product, under that program, comes together to first address how are we going to work on this? What is it that we all, these different teams, want to work on? Who will be working on what? What are we? What's each team trying to achieve? And they look at this like for the next quarter. And then once they agree on that, each team now takes it to their various level and start doing their own little piece. And then now backlog refinement session is like a pre-sprint planning event where they continuously look at their product backlog, enhance the product backlog, add items that will meet the goal that they've already achieved in that PI, adapts the product backlog to the changes that are going to obviously happen
Yeah.
as they continue to deliver on that PI, just to make sure that before they get to their sprint planning, again, they are
Everything
not
is ready.
rushing, and their meeting will be effective and efficient. All right. So hope that answers your question. So someone asked Abiola, does the Scrum happens on PI day? I think the question was already answered here. Diane and other people answered that question. Good. So let's see here if you have any other. What's the difference between the stakeholder and the product? No, that's already addressed. Okay. All right. I see so many people addressing question. So some person here, naked whatever, naked HD. I think that's a spam or a virus link that someone keep posting. Do not click on that. Naked HD XYZ. Do not click on that, please. That is a spam or something trying to take you to a virus infested link or site. What else differentiates a scrum master in a safe environment? Yeah, I think all that's already been addressed. So everything Cynthia just explained is what differentiates a scrum master in a safe environment, in the sense that in the standard scrum, they would they would hardly even practice any PI planning. You see, so a standard scrum master would not even be talking about any PI planning because that environment do not practice safe. So safe is one of the key, PI planning is one of the key events in safe. So that's what differentiates that scrum master from a standard scrum master in a safe environment. All right. Um, let's talk about calculating team capacity. That's a very good suggestion, and I would like to let you know that it's part of the agenda for this series. This series is going to happen for the next 3 months. So today is just the third episode. So stay tuned. It's going to be really, really, really impactful. Hopefully, nothing happens to any of us. We should be able to make all the 3 months very, very valuable. All right, let's move on to the next question here. Is every week okay? Oh, so I see so many people already addressing so many questions, and there is no point to ask again. Okay, I think Emeka add some context to his question. The innovation and PI iteration occurs every program increment and serves multiple purposes. I need clarity here from her.
Okay.
So, do you understand what Emeka is saying? The
In
innovation and PI. No, the innovation and
innovation and planning
planning
iteration
iteration
of
occurs
course every
every
program
program
increment
increments and
and serve.
serves multiple purposes. So, do you have any understanding of what Emeka is
No,
asking?
I don't. I don't.
Okay.
I don't have understanding the way he's asking it.
Yeah,
So
because
I
this
don't want
statement
to.
looks like a statement from a book or
Exactly.
somewhere. And again, we are really here to share real life experience. It will be difficult to, again, assuming that is coming from a textbook or from some website to talk about this because it doesn't apply to whatever Cynthia have experienced. Okay, I see Dogi is trying to add some point to that. So Dogi said the IP iteration is the cleanup iteration. Okay, I understand what Emeka is asking.
Okay, the
Um,
last sprint before the PI planning.
yeah,
The
yeah,
okay,
yeah. So,
okay. I already
Cynthia,
addressed
if
that. Mhm.
yeah,
When I
so
said program increment cleanup.
yeah, I think Cynthia already addressed that.
Yes,
So in my own experience, usually we have 6 sprints. They call it
exactly.
iteration. 6 iteration in 1 quarter. So work will be scheduled, or we will focus
On
five
the five,
sprints for work,
exactly.
for real development work, and then we'll leave one sprint, which is typically the last sprint, blank. We are not committing no work to that last sprint because that last sprint is seen as what you're explaining here, clean up sprints. That's how most
Exactly.
people call it, and for maybe
Then,
unforeseen, so many different things that have happened, and also transitioning sprints because team members need to breathe. They need to breathe, they need to take a break
yeah,
before
and that's the
moving to a
sprint where
whole
we
new PI.
prepare mostly for the next PI.
Yes. That sprint also is when all the prep is going on. Remember I said at least 2 weeks ahead we want to start prepping.
Exactly.
So usually that last sprint they hardly really do any real development work. It's really scheduled for
Clean
something
up
like that.
items that are left in the last feature that needs to be addressed,
Yeah.
bring it up, address
Yeah.
it. Okay.
All right. So this is, I think, Cynthia, I think that's all the questions that
Thank
are
you.
really tied to this topic for today.
Thank you.
So next week, I mean, I cannot appreciate you enough, first of all, before I
Thank,
go to say whatever I'm saying for next week. You've been very instrumental. I
thank
mean, just coming back here to give back, it means a lot to me. And I'm very sure that it means a lot to all the people that are currently watching right now. And I always tell people, don't just when you start really adding value, knowing what you're doing, don't just remain a single person. Continue to duplicate yourself.
exactly.
Duplicate yourself. That's what we do. That's how you're able to expand the community. That's how you're able to birth new practitioners, so that again we can continue to be very impactful in the society. You see, so what you have done today, I cannot even thank you enough, and I really do appreciate you. And it shouldn't only end here, Cynthia. Like I
Thank you.
said, you were born to do this, so just continue to do what
I
what you're
appreciate it.
doing.
Honestly, you're
Yeah.
making me blush.
For real though. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
So
so much.
for next week, we will be hosting what's his name, Uchena Okereke.
Oh,
That's going to be our host for next week. It's going to be awesome. And next week we're going to focus on breakout rooms. We're going to go in depth into breakout rooms, and we will address everything around breakout rooms. And if you know that you are an experienced safe practitioner, a release training engineer, a scrum master in a safe environment, and you are longing or you're wishing to show up here just like Cynthia, trust me, I will give you that platform. I will. So send us an email and let's talk. Send us an email and we'll go from there to assess and see if we can do this. So this is open to everybody. It's not just for some special people, but again for the privileged people. So if you want to be part of this show, do not hesitate to reach out through our email, and we will be more than glad to bring you here so that you can also contribute your little to the community. Now, before we go, if you're looking to be trained, the July Scrum Master training is already almost halfway gone. The next session starts on August 2nd, and enrollment is currently ongoing. And again, most of you already know our spaces are always very packed and full very fast. If you want to reserve your spot, I suggest that go ahead and enroll like immediately. Don't waste no time. Stop waiting. Stop contemplating. Stop procrastinating. Procrastination is an enemy. I always tell everybody that, because even after next year, you will still sit there and you've not achieved anything and you're
Yeah.
still procrastinating. It doesn't help you. It's better you try and it doesn't work rather than sitting and not doing anything and you end up with regrets. Okay, so reach out and we'll be glad to walk you through this journey. If you're only a certification holder in any agile field and you're looking to really land that first opportunity, or maybe you're already there and you're looking for a job change, that's what we do. A level 2 program is for you. Join through, again, just go to our website, even the description box. If you check the description box, you should get our contact information. Go to the description box and it should take you to our website. You can easily enroll from there, or you call us directly and we'll be more than glad to walk you through the process. The same for level 3. If you're a working professional and you want to be very value adding in your organization, that's what we do. Reach out to us. If you have an organization that is looking to transition into agile, that's what we do. Reach out to us and we'll be glad to walk you through your successful transformation. Okay. And thank you also very much. We hope this session was impactful, because it was very impactful to me. And hope to connect with you next week. Have a blessed and wonderful Sunday. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.